So in this document, there's 68 optimizations, all of which we have tested on e-commerce brands that we've worked with that are proven to improve your conversion rate and your average order value. So our average win rate on these tests is around 30 or 40%. So if you implement all of these changes, or even just a handful that you think resonate and should work well, test them, roll them out, put them in your new landing pages, you're going to make more money. So I'm going to run through every single one of them with you. It won't take too long, but first of all, before we do get into that, the most important thing is the preparation and what happens before you start creating sections. So these are the kind of building blocks that you need to create before you even touch Figma or your website and start building out features. So make sure you spend time researching your customer and deciding on a direction for your brand before you do anything. So the first thing we'll always do, and the first thing you should do, is a persona breakdown. So if you're already at the stage where you're doing over 1 million a month, you're probably already doing this. If you're earlier on, then and you haven't done this yet, you need to do it because it'll help a lot with creating your ads and stuff like that as well. So the first thing you want to decide is who is the person that you're selling to, because the better you understand the person you're selling to, the more effective you can be at selling to them and describing the things that they want, describing their frustrations and stuff like that. So first of all, do you have separate customer personas or do you just have one? And then give the persona a name, who they are, what their role is, their lifestyle, the things that they want the most, and their key challenges and frustrations, any other important details about this persona. And if you're not quite sure, just we have the next step is kind of a bit more on how to build out your persona, but just from what you know, and then also your ad angles and stuff like that. Put down as much info as you can, and then if you do have multiples, how do you need to speak to them differently and stuff like that. And then where the real work kind of comes in is this messaging framework. So this is basically, we don't want to guess who our persona is and just make assumptions. What we want to do is base everything we do, all of the writing that we do, off of data, and this is also a good practice for just writing ad scripts. But yeah, we want to base everything off data. So the first thing we'll do is go and look through all of your top performing ad angles and figure out what is being said in these angles. What are the best performing headlines and hooks from these ads? Which landing pages and emails and offers and stuff converted best, and why do you think they worked well? Have you sent out any surveys to your customers? If you haven't, you should seriously consider it, because that's one of the best sources of data you can get. Read all of your reviews. That's a really important source of data. If you read 50 to 100 of your customer reviews, what you'll start to notice is that the same phrases and the same specific words come up again and again and again. And this is really important, because what you want to do is speak to your customer in the same way that they speak themselves. You want to describe the exact things they want, the exact problems they have, the exact hesitations, frustrations, in the exact words that they use to describe it themselves, because that creates resonance. That makes them feel like they're understood and they're meant to be purchasing from your brand because it was made for them, and a really good review you should look for, these are probably one of the best ones, is reviews that kind of describe a hesitation. Like, for example, I thought it was really expensive, but then I bought it and I was happy I did because it's worth it. Or I was skeptical about whether it would work, but then I bought it and it did work really well, So they will tell you what their key hesitation is, what almost stopped them from buying, and what would stop lots of other people from buying. And then A/B test and learning. So obviously, if you've done CRO in the past and you have some A/B test and learnings, then put them in there. What customers say they're happiest about after purchase. So this is one for the reviews and Instagram comments and stuff like that. And now pre-purchase objections and questions. So these are really important. So what questions do people ask through the customer service and support tickets? What comments do you see getting dropped on Instagram? What Instagram DMs do you get and stuff like that? And what beliefs or misconceptions do people have about your category that you have to reframe? Then your dream outcomes, emotional motivations, problem, solution fit. So what problem does your product solve? What have customers tried before that didn't work? And then your competitive edge. So this is kind of like your unique mechanism. So what do you do differently to other competitors, because if you're like most brands, you're competing in a crowded market where there's lots of people who sell the same thing that you sell. So why should people buy it from you and not someone else? Then your offer mechanics. So like this is really important. Guarantees, risk reversals. Also just the structure of your offer, you know. So if you're doing like buy two get one free, buy three get two, stuff like that. But yeah, you want to spend as much time as you possibly can doing the research at this stage because it's the most important part. And then ultimately what we want to end up with is a structured output where we have just a small amount of short punchy sentences that directly links to a piece of research, and we know it's something the customer genuinely cares about. So we want 5 dream outcome statements, 5 problem solved, 5 emotional payoffs, before and after contrasts, you know, so like from X painful state to Y desired state. Why other solutions fail, objection killers, trust builders, credibility. You get the point, all of this kind of stuff, okay? So yeah, spend a lot of time on that at first. That is like the most important part, is getting the copyright, okay? Like this is what real, we call it revenue per visitor optimization, because it's not just about conversion rate, it's also about AOV, you know. So it's trying to get as many people as you can to buy, and then it's also trying to get the people who do buy to spend as much as possible, you know. So it's about revenue per visitor, not just conversion rate, you know. Then the second building block, so that's the messaging framework. The second building block is your design system. So there's a couple of different ways you can do this. Let me just show you like a very simple one first, and I'll show you a more detailed one. So realistically, like if you don't want to build out like a full brand guidelines, just something simple like this works, you know. So you can document your logos, all of the colors, the fonts, button rounding, spacing, and then just put together some previews. This is good if you have like a bigger team and you want to just make sure everyone is aligned before you get started. Just decide on a style that you think looks good, and then once you get that, you can move forward. Another way you can do it, which is something we do, is like a more detailed kind of brand guideline document where we can put together like the tone of voice and different logo marks, appropriate usage, you know, how to use the logo, how not to use it, and your fonts and stuff like that, even your hierarchies we can do. And then we put together some previews like this, you know. So like this is a brand of our own that we're working on at the minute. It's for sample packs, but yeah, anyway, all you really need is something like this, the more simpler version of the design system. Just you need to make sure everything is consistent. That's the main thing. So once you have those two, you're good to go, and you can start building out your actual website. So your product images. Product images are arguably like the most important element on your entire website, because a lot of people put a lot of time into building out a really detailed landing page. But let's say if you are to want to, so obviously we don't have like really detailed images built out for this, because this is just like a massive SKU store that sells different brands. But if you have any heat maps installed on your website and you take a look at the heat maps, you'll notice around 80% of people, this is all they will ever see. They don't scroll at all. So most people don't see this part of the page, but you will notice all of the red stuff on the heat map is all around here around the product images. So most people do interact with the product images. So that's where you should focus a lot of your attention. And it's easy as well. You don't need to code or anything to do it. So definitely put a lot of attention into your product page images. So hero product images, there's a couple different ways of doing this. So you pretty much have 2 spaces. So first of all, just show the product, and then you have 2 spaces you can add stuff in. So you can put press coverage down here in the bottom right, and then up here you can do some social proof tags like bestseller, moving fast, our top pick. If your product is made in the same country that you're selling to, then something you can do is have like made in the USA, made in Ireland. That tends to work really well. There is like a school of thought where people tend to put like actual benefits in the first card. We don't like to do that, just because we like to kind of balance both brand and conversion. So we tend to put the other stuff, the benefit stuff, further down in the carousel in like the second and third card. Here's some other social proof tags you can add. This also works well at the category level. First card, benefit card. So this is a transformation statement card. So from all day pain to all day comfort. So the main statement is like, this is the painful state you were in. This is the desired state that you want, that our product can deliver to you. So like it doesn't necessarily have to be a transformation statement, but your first product page image card should be dream outcome. What is the one desired state that your customer wants? So once they see that, that's kind of the emotional thing. So yes, I want that. But now it's like, what is the logic behind how you're going to get me here? So second card is unique mechanism. So I've told you what the desired state is. Now it's like, how can I trust that you will actually give me this desired state? What's the mechanism behind getting me to that desired state? So in this one, you need to have a unique technology or mechanism that delivers the outcome that we've promised, you know? So you see this thing here, the way we have the TM and the technology. You don't actually need to register a trademark to use this. Okay, anyone can put TM after a term that they coined, and then that's your technology. You know, it's the one with the R, the registered trademark, that you have to register. This one you don't. You know, so you want to think of it. It can be like a blend of your ingredients. It can be like a type of a combination of components, you know, but you need to have like, this is the thing that we have that no one else does. So like, this is the how behind we deliver the outcome, and it's also the reason why you can't shop around and go to someone else, because only we have this unique mechanism, you know. So it goes, just show the product, then you have emotional reason to buy it, logical reason to buy it. Then next of all, we have social proof, so a review card. You know, it seems a little bit counterintuitive. Usually reviews are buried down the bottom of the page. But again, most people are only seeing this image card. Very few people get to the bottom of the page and look at those reviews. So you want to have them nice and high up and in the product page image card. And we're not just picking any random reviews here. We're going back to our messaging framework and we're figuring out what are the three things that we know people care about the most. And then let's put those in those three reviews, you know. So they're hyper targeted, they're very carefully selected too. Next of all, authority endorsement, you know. So people want social proof. People like me have bought it. Now they want an authority figure endorses the product. So if you're in supplements, you can get a like a doctor or a vet, dermatologist, stuff like that. They're not expensive. You can find people online who will be willing to give you a statement once you have a good product. For this one, this is for a rugby head guard. So this is like a pro player who has used the head guard and endorses it. So that's another really important factor. Now, comparison table. So this again comes back to, here's why our product is special. Here's our competitive edge. Really important to differentiate yourself. Stop people shopping around. Now, a risk reversal card. So this one again seems a little bit counterintuitive, but most people are only seeing this image sequence, you know. So you need to fit your entire sales sequence and every principle for getting someone to buy in here, you know. So you need to put your risk reversal card in there too. Now, use case card. So there's kind of two ways you can do this. One is like, if you have X problem, then this will be useful for you, you know. So like, this is a dog supplement brand, chronic itch and relief and so on. And then another one is fitting, you know. So like, if you're selling a clothing product, for example, you can show how it fits. There was another one that we were doing this for. Oh yeah, we were speaking to a brand that sells like prints, and what we were saying we're gonna do is like have a So they sell canvases like prints. So we were gonna have like a home setting where you have like a TV and stuff in it, and it can show the different sizes for reference against items that you would understand. So if you do have sized products, then a way of giving a reference for the sizes works really well, or if it's just use case, that works well too. And then another one, this usually goes in the hero image, but if you're a clothing brand, adding a tag that shows the model height, weight, and the size they're wearing works really well too. So those are the product page images, most important ones, and easy to do. If you're just starting out, that's probably like the easiest and the highest leverage way to get some uplifts with CRO straight away. But now onto the product page. So a big thing we're trying to focus on at the product page level is upsells, cross sells, and bundle offers, because if you can just get people to spend more, you don't need to get any more customers. And oftentimes, if brands haven't thought about a really good bundle offer and structuring upsells and cross sells, you could like 1.5x or even 2x the amount of revenue you make every month just by getting people to spend more. You'd be surprised how open people are to spending more money if you give them opportunities that make sense. So there is lots of conversion rate stuff that we're going to run over on the product page as well, but a lot of it is to do with AOV too. You know, so the first one is build an item pairing system. So kind of the key to cross-selling and upselling successfully is creating systems that show that the products relate to each other and actually make sense. You know, putting stuff down like you may also like and frequently bought together, that doesn't really work like at all, you know, or like very minimally. But if you have, like for example, if you're a clothing brand, you have full fits featuring this piece from our editor, and then you have like curated curated outfits that make sense, you know, that look good together and that have clearly been thought through. That stuff converts extremely well. You know, if you have, like, let's say you could have his and hers, like one for a parent, one for a kid, like matching stuff, um, jeans that go really well with a certain t-shirt and a hat, and shoes that go well together, and it's framed like this, um, full fits from our editor, you know, so like someone actually thought about this. That's the kind of stuff that you want to do, you know, and I'll show you some other stuff as well. So this is another one for a clothing brand. This one says complete the look. And also, if you, the thing about this is, if you have, if you have lots of different angles around how you are upselling and cross-selling, and each one makes sense and it's for a different use case, then you can, and they have a different design and it all looks different and it all has a different headline and it makes sense, then you can fit like 3 or 4 different upsell and cross-sell opportunities onto a single page, you know. And every time you add one of those, once it's well thought out and there's good copy behind it, some people will take you up on that offer, you know. So like, what does that equal to over time? You know, it makes a big difference. And then here's another one. So this one is more just kind of like very simple, complete the look. This is for simple products where they kind of might be a little bit more aesthetic. They don't require a lot of explaining. Then these are another 2 options. So this one here is like, get more of X benefit you want, get the most out of your sleep. So this is for a brand that sells sleep masks. Here's the sleep mask. Here's ways that you can get more of the same benefit that you want. Then this one is like, you have solved this problem, now solve this problem. So this is for a dog supplement brand, and it says care for more than their smile, because in they're currently looking at a dental sticks product, and then it's like achieve complete health for your dog, because they also sell lots of other supplements that target other problems and use cases for dogs, you know. And you'll notice here as well, we have the headline as the benefit, and then the product name is actually secondary, you know, because that's what people care about, is the outcome. So always lead with the outcome. So there are another 2 angles, and more of X benefit. You've achieved X benefit, now achieve Y benefit. Now here's another one, a structured bundling offer with clean animations and logic providing additional benefits. So this is already cool that we built for this brand. Um, so you see, if you click buy two, the price will tick up. So like save 13%, 15%, and then it'll go up to 21. And then the stuff will pop out as you go as well. And then also, so if you buy one, you're only getting free shipping, and then you get additional benefits popping out as you buy more as well. So yeah, if this isn't always feasible, I mean, you need to kind of decide what is the best way to do it for your brand. I know sometimes products can be a little bit complicated. They need customization and stuff like that. So you need to figure out like which of these you can take and which ones you can't, you know. Another simple one, a conditional offer or discount, like buy two get one free. You can just do very simple stuff if you don't want to code like that. And size charts obviously very important for clothing brands and anything else that requires sizes. And a size recommendation section as well. So this is like a dynamic section we designed for a clothing brand, where basically you just fill in a meta field when you're setting up the product, and then it will tell you like take one size up, one size down, take usual size. So that's something that works really well. And this is kind of like an authority endorsement, but kind of like social proof, showing what notable people have shopped with the brand. A testimonial or authority endorsement beneath the product images. So this works really well if you have people with like medical backgrounds, dermatologists, doctors, vets, and stuff like that, if it is that kind of brand. Or you can just go with a really strong customer quote. Optimize your quantity and bundle offers. So let me show you how this looks on a subscription brand. So something you should definitely do if you have a subscription brand is give people lots of options to buy more and more, because if someone does really like your product, they might see it as easier. And as I said, a surprising amount of people will take you up on these like really, really big offers. And if you even get 5 or 10% of people to spend €135 instead of 27, it's going to make a massive difference to your AOV. Now your unique mechanism section with a differentiating technology. So let me show you how this one looks in practice. So it would be something like this. If you can get an animation in that looks really cool too, differentiates you, gives you pricing power. So that's what that looks like. Also, so for brands with high SKUs, an interactive upsell feature which allows browsing across different categories. So this is called an exploration upsell, and this is basically, this works really well for brands that have a high SKU count, where they can basically like browse through lots of different products just through one. So we have trainers and t-shirts here. You could also go deeper and start hunting like jeans and hoodies and stuff like that, which works really well. A review. a review rating with the customer account above your product title. So a mistake we often see people make um is adding just like the number of reviews for this specific product, and sometimes that might be like 10 or 20, which doesn't look good. So you should always have either the total number of reviews across the store or the total customer count, and it's just much stronger social proof. And bullet points with pain points and benefits, not features, benefits or problems, so you want to talk about the outcome only here. You'll get into the mechanism and the features later on the page, but at this stage people are only interested in what your product can do for them, what outcome it can help them achieve. So this is honestly one of like the highest leverage things in the entire page as well, because they'll see this within the first fold. Be extremely diligent in how you come up with these and keep them really short and punchy. Next thing, a single sentence which communicates cost effectiveness. So from, if it's a subscription brand, something like from just X per day works really well. And a single CTA only. So sometimes you see brands with the dynamic checkout button. It actually does work in a very small percentage of cases, but like the default is that it doesn't. So chances are you're best off just removing it if you do have it for now. Risk averse with beneath ATC standard, of course. Shipping info box with express delivery options. Make this geolocated as well. If you're in the US, you can actually break it down by state now, or you can just do it by country, and a ships by date works well too. Accordions to organize your purchase decision information. You need to actually think about this now. What do people need to know? Like, you might need a how to use section. FAQs can work well there and stuff like that. And then an accordion with country-specific delivery information. So this is especially important if you ship worldwide. Instead of just having shipping info, you can have US shipping info, UK shipping info, and then you can just have a paragraph of text that is specifically about that exact country. UGC section, obviously very important. So you can add videos here. You can also add statics. In this case, this was a pretty cool one that we did. So we have the different personas that it cycles through here. So this is for a cycling brand. It cycles through like commuters, triathletes, racers, all the different types of personas that they sell to. Product use case section with statistics if possible. So you want to say, like, if you are in this situation, then this product is for you. And then if you have statistics you can use, that works even better. A risk reversal section which directly speaks to achieving the desired outcome. So you don't want to just say money back guarantee. You want to say what is the outcome that they want, and then you want to say we will get you that outcome or you will get your money back. So a perfect fit of your money back for a clothing brand works really well. This is another one that we did for a dog brand that sells a coat supplement. Keep it only if your dog's coat improves, so achieve your outcome or get a full refund, not just money back guarantee. A commitment to social impact. So if you do have something like this where you donate to charity and a percentage of profits goes to a good cause, that does work really well, especially if you're selling a product to people who are a little bit older and care about stuff like that, like maybe 30s and 40s. Then this is your main product benefit section, which is very important. So again, you're just trying to focus on outcomes here and the feeling around what you're selling and not the features of it. So this was for like a film brand that we worked with. They sell film cameras. You'll notice it's all about the feeling that comes with using a film camera. So like real emotion, not data, nostalgia, remembering more, treasuring it forever, stuff like that. So it's nothing about we sell good quality cameras. It's like this is the feeling, the outcome behind using film cameras, rolling press coverage banner if you have it. Obviously this is a really good one just for social proof and stuff like that. Now, hand-picked short excerpts from reviews mentioning the desires or pain points of customers, which is with a strong image. So again, you will keep your timestamp reviews down the bottom if you have them, but also it's good to have these kind of short, punchy reviews where we go back to our messaging framework and we figure out like what are the top 5 or 3 things that we know people really care about, because that's the reason people go to the reviews. They go to confirm that the product will do what they want it to do, or the concern they have no need to be concerned about, So again, you're picking 5 reviews extremely carefully, each one that targets a very specific it's a specific problem or thing, like for example, this is for a clothing brand. Like one of the things we had identified was people care that the clothes is below retail price. It's a very small brand as well, so like legitimacy, because they're selling like expensive goods too, was important, so we put that one in. Fit and quality was important. Next day delivery was important. So all of those things we pick the reviews, and sometimes you can even shorten them and just pull out like a single sentence. A benefits section. So like this is important if you are either selling other brands or you have a very high SKU count and it's going to commoditize. Like if you're a supplement brand, if you're selling different types of clothing brands, you're a department store, then this type of stuff is important, because you can't really differentiate on product because there's lots of people selling the same products as you. So you need to differentiate on your service. So like this was for a clothing brand that we ran actually, and like this was kind of like the unique things that we did that other clothing brands in Ireland or department style store clothing brands didn't do. A comparison table. So again, like you don't want to just talk about just random things or just get ChatGPT or Claude to generate this for you. You want to genuinely think what are the issues with the other options on the market, and why are we better than them, and what ones will people genuinely care about. So it's important you really think about this, because again, like it's not the comparison table itself that will get you the result, it's the contents of the comparison table and how coherent the argument is for why you're better than your competitors. Um, so this is a UGC section from social media that shows real customers using the product and kind of reinforces that kind of community feel. So you can put down, use a hashtag, join the hashtag Maury fan. That was that film brand that we worked with, and you can see we done like, it looks like a stack of photos, which is like just a unique personality thing that worked for that specific brand. I mean, that worked for all. An authority endorsement section. So you want to have trusted authorities in your space endorsing the product. This can be, as I said, like doctors, dermatologists, stuff like that, pro players, anyone who has authority that people would listen to. FAQ section, but don't just pull random FAQs. Like actually think it through. Look at your reviews, look at your customer support tickets, Instagram DMs. What are people genuinely curious about? What do people genuinely ask? And how frequently do the questions come up? How important are they? And make sure you order them correctly as well. An option to purchase a gift card works really well if you have a high SKU count. Like let me show you here. So, and then some really good copy is important as well. Like not sure what to get them or similar, and then they'll click that and that'll bring them to the gift card page. So that's a lot of the stuff that we test on the product page. Now some stuff for the cart. So add a purchase motivator beneath the call to action. So there's lots of different things you can do here. You need to think about what will be most important for my specific customer. So for this one, obviously it's a clothing brand, so like the most important thing is returns. That's what people care about most. If it's something else, maybe it'll be reviews and customer count, maybe it'll be your payment methods if people are a little bit older. It depends. You just really need to test. Next thing, a one-click upsell into a premium skill at cart. So this one works extremely well too. So for example, for this subscription brand, the drink one, if we do add the cart here, if you do add the cart, you'll see this pops up here, subscribe and save. So it'll auto detect if you have a non-subscription item in your cart, and then all you need to do is just toggle this on. You'll get a little success message, welcome to the Charge family, and then it will swap it over to a 1-month subscription. And then it's also really important to add dynamic features into your cart as well. So if you have a look at this one, if we click add here, so we have try our other flavors, so you can get a sample of the different flavors, and it'll only ever show you the flavors that they don't have in their cart. So they have 3 flavors, you'll see now there's only 1. So if we add this, and then this upsell bar will disappear completely. But then if we remove these again, they'll go back in down here as well. So well thought out upsells and cross sells, stuff that makes sense, because again, this is absolutely fundamental. So yeah, that's some stuff for the cart. That's usually kind of all we really do. We just try keep a small number of features that are tested and proven to work, and nothing else, and don't overcomplicate it. Now, homepage. So I'll just pull up the actual page here. So homepage, so add tabs that lead to your top categories up here, and there's a couple of different ways you can do this. You need to think about like, what way do my customers like to shop? Do they like to shop by brand? Do they like to shop by product type? Do they like to shop by price range? Whatever way that is, whatever way they like to break down their categories and shop by, do it that way. So you might want to test a couple of different features once you're doing that. And a kicker featuring social proof on your review count above here, obvious CRO stuff, so 25,000 customers, 5 stars. Strong contrast between the text and the background is very important. So you see the way we made sure that this area of the hero is like really dark, and then we have white text against it, because you see this mistake on a lot of hero websites is that they have like a light background and then light text, and it just makes the text really hard to read, and then the message just doesn't land, and it converts a lot worse, you know. Brief headline summing up the offering or problem the product solves. So in this case, we have a pretty simple one, where to start. It's a little bit more kind of abstract because this is a brand that's trying to be much more kind of cool and what's the word? Like we're not so much a problem solving brand, you know, where it's like achieve this outcome in X number of days, you know, which is very kind of conversiony. We're much more so like this is like a cool place. We have the coolest stuff, you know. So that's why it's a little bit more abstract than it is specific, you know. And then a short piece of copy beneath the headline that gives more details on the offer. And so you need to think long and hard about how do I describe to like a 5 year old exactly what it is that my company does, you know, and like what is the benefit, you know. So in our case, this is what it was: a small, sharp, and current edit. So it's not a massive number of pages of like every item from every designer, which is what a lot of the mainstream retailers are. And then we have skipped the endless pages of dead stock. That's kind of the benefit, is that we don't do that, you know. So like that's how we're different. Then 1 to 2 call to actions for your top categories within the banner. So again, this is for you to think about of how the best way to categorize your products is. In our case, we had two kind of very distinct product categories: designer clothes and sportswear. So that's what we went with. It could be a million different things. It could be like your top product here, shop all products here. Lots of different ways of doing it. Then risk reversal beneath. So obviously what that would be in a clothing brand is returns. In your case, it might be a money back guarantee or something like that. Now a carousel of your best selling products beneath here. So I would, in most cases, I would recommend going with this one first, this one second, if at all. But basically what this one is new releases this month. So again, you want to have some good copy that makes it feel current and relevant, and like you're not just throwing down random products. These tags always work really well as well. So like editors pick trending this week, you can set these up pretty easily in Metafields. Then another one is show a feed of products from a popular traffic source such as Instagram or reviews. So in our case, we were like a very Instagram heavy brand, so we added a feed of like our top sellers from Instagram here, and then it has like the UGC style image, which obviously converts really well, and then the actual image down here, and then you can click that and it will bring you to that product page. A community driven UGC section showing customers displaying their products along with images they've taken themselves that looks like this. So this one is really good because it kind of does two things at once. It builds trust by showing here's like real people, profile pictures, usernames, everything, products in hand. You can also see like the branding of the company, so you know it's 100% legit. And then you have the product attached down the bottom as well, so you have a shopping opportunity and a trust building opportunity. Works really well. Now category cards for your bestseller throughout the page. So again, something that's really important with these is contrast, you know. So you want to make sure you have like a really dark or a really light area where you can put either really dark or really light text over, and it's easy to read. And then make sure, I usually just go with a single sentence here, make sure it's really good though and it genuinely makes sense. And you can scatter those throughout the page then. So we have a few of them here: sportswear, t-shirts, jackets, and so on. Then a section showing influencers or celebrities who have purchased from the brand. So if you do have anything like this is kind of like an authority play as well, a brand building play. You can put them in here. You can add their follower count and stuff. You can show a picture of them using your brand. Showcase rolling banners with logos of recognizable brands on offer on the homepage. So this can either be brands that you sell like this, or it can also be press coverage if you have it. So next thing would be short excerpts from reviews. So again, this is the same like is on the product page, except if you're doing it at this stage, you want to talk more about just kind of how good the brand is as a whole, how good delivery and services and stuff like that, because people aren't thinking about a specific product yet. They're still just analyzing you as a brand. A carousel of the company's tagline or mission statement. So this is when we differ like a bike component brand. You don't necessarily have to do this now. It's much more of a branding play. If it makes sense, it can be good. Now your exporter founder credibility section. So this is your authority endorsement again. So this is for a bike component brand. They have lots of engineers who are the founders of the brand. So that's really good for building credibility. Now a dynamic headline with a rotating ticker paired with use cases and then some benefits beneath. So if you have a look at this one, we have upgrade your commute, weekend ride. So these are all the different use cases that people would use the product for, and then we have 3 distinct benefits underneath. So that typically works really well. At the at the homepage level, then rolling press coverage banner, that works well too, as we discussed already. Now your FAQs, so the FAQs on the homepage are a little bit different from the ones on the product page, in that they're going to be about questions about your brand as a whole, questions about where you ship to, the service that you offer and stuff like that, returns. Those are the things people are going to be evaluating you about at the homepage level. So it's a little bit different than at the product page level. Now, on your category page, you can use hero sections as well that are similar to what you have on your homepage. So if you have distinct product categories that each solve like different problems and use cases, then you can do something like this, so benefits up top, and then you can have some bullet points and a sentence that gives a little bit more detail. And then for your menu, just keep it nice and simple. Images usually work quite well here, and then obviously think about a logical way that you can structure your menu as well. So yeah, that's everything for this video. There's 68 different optimizations here, and if you implement some of these, even if you just pick a handful of them that you think will work really well, either test them or just roll them into the next product page that you build, and you will make more money for sure. So hopefully you found that useful. Also, we are an agency. We do brand building CRO for e-commerce brands that are doing over 100k a month. If you don't want to do it yourself and you would potentially like to discuss working with us, there is a link in the description where you can book a call to speak with myself, and I'll basically go over something like this, but that is specific to your brand. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.